In 1975, Vietnam was taken over by communists from the north. Since that day, many people who worked for the South Vietnam government were in jail. Everything was changed. The life became miserable and people had no religion and no freedom. From 1975 to 1990, many people left Vietnam by boat and they became Vietnamese refugees or boat people. Most people who escaped from Vietnam have accepted that anything can happen to them. My father was one of those people. The following is his story.
After the communists took over South Vietnam in 1975, they put all the officers of the former South Vietnamese army in jails. They called these jails re-education camp, but they were jails. Because I'd been a lieutenant in the army, they put me in jail and moved me to about 5 different camps. In these camps, I had to do hard labor every day. They didn't care if you died or lived. Many people got very sick. There was no medicine, little food, and even water became scarce. I was in these camps for 5 years until 1980, when the government declared that I was officially re-educated and released me. When I got out of the camps, I went back to my family in Bien Hoa. I was broke. I could not do anything with my life. Every month, I had to go to the local government and report what I did and where I went during the month. The government controlled everything. I could not work for any companies because I had been in the South Vietnamese army. I got married in September 1982. I still did not have a job even though it had been 2 years after the re-education camps. My wife had to work hard selling vegetables and pho in the open market to support the family. My family could survive, but I knew that because I had no future, my children would have no future in Vietnam either. Therefore, escaping from Vietnam was our only hope. Because this trip was very risky and the success rate was very slim, I begged my wife to stay back with the children. It was a tough decision to make, but in the end, my wife finally agreed. I was very unlucky. I tried to escape 5 times, but all were failures. I was jailed twice and had to pay corruption money to get out of jail. First time, I was jailed for 6 months. The second time, I was jailed for a year. Despite the fact that my escapes were failures, I did not give up or get weary. The thought of providing my wife and children with a better life kept me going. In the fall of 1987, I tried to escape again. This time, it was a success, because I had help from my aunt and uncle in Hanoi. They spent a large sum of money hiring fishermen to take me out to the sea. Once I'm there, I'll be transferring into another boat. The boat I transferred to was small, 8 meters long and 3 meters wide. With 50 other people in it, it was quite crowded. The people looked like sardines in a can. The engine was very old. It was a risky voyage. You could easily be killed by the weather because you were exposed to the sun and the rain. You could easily die from the flu or pneumonia because there was no medicine on board. There was a big storm, but everybody survived. By the 4th day, I ran out of food and water. I had to rely on rain, seawater, and raw fish to survive. I felt lonely, sad, and cold, and very hungry. By the 6th day, there were only 35 people left on board. Most women and children were dead. Their bodies had to be disposed, so they were tossed into the ocean.
Tôi nép thân trên mảnh thuyền mong manh sương gió, như một người tìm đường về nơi đáy mồ. Tôi bước đi vì không muốn làm kẻ tội đồ, vì tôi muốn lại kiếp con người, muốn cuộc đời còn có những nụ cười.
After 7 days of drifting on open sea, I arrived in Hong Kong. All I had on me was a pair of old, beat-up shorts that I had wore on the first day of my escape. As a matter of fact, I was very lucky that I still had on a pair of shorts. Some people only had their underpants left. I stayed in Hong Kong for 3 years. And finally, in 1990, I got sponsored by the Americans to come over here in the US. As soon as I settled down in California, I filled out the necessary documents with Catholic Charities to sponsor my family. On March 15, 1993, I was united with my wife and 2 children. A year later, on September 17, 1994, our 3rd child was born. Life has been much better for me and my family. Both my wife and I have jobs. We still have to work hard, but it's nothing compared to what we had to go through in Vietnam. Here, my children can get great education and be educated. To me, without education, there is no future.
That was my father's story. I am very thankful for my family, especially my parents. Because of their sacrifices, I was able to go to school and live a happy life.